to celebrate creating with me, Catherine. If you are on the GAPS diet, you're going to want to know this recipe. And if you're not, this recipe is great for your health. It is a chicken bone broth recipe, and my husband, aka special guest, is going to be giving you all his tips and tricks for a delicious bone broth. So I hope you'll enjoy this recipe.
Okay, so tonight, real quick recipe, we're going to be doing chicken bone broth, and very simple, very nutritious. Now, I usually get whole chickens. I don't like paying somebody else to do what's very simple, like cutting up the chicken, but that's all they had. So I just bought a barbecue pack. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to cut the chicken breast off of the bone, and this again is very simple. Why spend so much money to do something like this? I mean, you can buy the whole chicken and cut the chicken breast off very simply. And if you had a sharp knife, which I don't, this would be done in seconds. Okay, boom. The reason I'm cutting the chicken breasts off and cooking them separately from the rest of the chicken for the bone broth is because the chicken breast doesn't do real well with long periods of cooking. It'll start out turning to rubber, very chewy, and then after a long period of time it turns to mush, and it's not very pleasant either. So what I do is I have cut the chicken breast off of the bones, and I'm going to put the chicken breast in during the simmer cycle on the bone broth. And we'll leave them in there for 30 minutes, and they'll come out perfectly poached, and they're great for, you know, whatever you want. Sandwiches, burritos, chicken wraps, whatever. Okay. The key to a really wonderful flavor in your bone broth is what's called caramelization, and that has to do with searing your meat and your vegetables before you add the water. Now a lot of people just build their broths, they just throw the meat and the vegetables right into the water, and that's fine. You can do that. You'll get good taste, you'll get all the nutrients that are available to you if you do it that way. But I really like that seared flavor, and you'll get a slightly darker chicken broth, you'll get a slightly darker beef broth if you do the sear first. And that's desirable, you know, just in terms of the look. So what I have here is I have a 1.5 gallon stock pot. It's already warmed, and it's probably going to howl or sizzle when I put these in there. That's fine. You can do that. Okay, so you can hear the chicken sizzling in the background. I just like to break the fry that's going on the skin right now. It's adhering to the bottom of the pan. That's all I do. I break that off a little bit. We do that a couple of times. Over to the cutting board now. Got our chicken breast on one side. Now, for the chicken stock, you don't need to do anything fancy for your vegetables at all. You don't even have to peel the carrots. So this is called a coarse chop. That's all you need. Boom. Throwing them right in. These are celery stalks, of course. Again, very coarse. Throwing them right in there. Now this is a nice little trick for the garlic. You don't have to peel the garlic if it's going to be simmering in a soup stock for 24 hours. So you don't have to get your fingers all stinky with garlic. You can just throw them in just like that. The onion, I do take the skin off. Some people don't. Yeah, probably want to. Again, just a real coarse chop. I throw the onion in halves. Just take the skin off. That's it. Boom. Done. All those flavors are going to be great. Boom. Done. So that's all the vegetables that we need. Then, gallon of water. That's ready to go, just like that. Okay, now, for the flavorings, salt, parsley, pepper, and bay leaves. Now you've heard all the time about how Grandma's chicken soup, you know, is great for when you're feeling well. Here's the reason Grandma's chicken soup is so healthy for you. It's the bay leaves. These bay leaves have wonderful healing properties and in strengthening your immune system, and I just love the smell. So they impart a little bit of a, how would you say, I'd say there's a little bit of a tartness that they impart, but that's why Grandma's chicken soup is so good for you, is the bay leaves.
And the chicken broth, of course, it goes without saying.
Well, yeah, the chicken broth, of course. But I suspect it's the bay leaf the whole time.
I suspect it's the chicken broth.
Okay. So, as far as quantities, people usually put whole ground, or not ground pepper, but peppercorns, and I don't have any. So, about a teaspoon of pepper. A lot of people use fresh parsley, and I like to use fresh parsley too, but again, I don't have any. This is like, you know, last minute little video.
Fresh is always the best.
Yeah, fresh is always the best.
You got it.
But about a tablespoon. And we use, there's that whole Trader Joe's thing again. But we use the Himalayan pink salt. Now, I take the lid right off this thing because I don't want to grind. And I usually go with a full tablespoon of the pink salt. This has got wonderful trace minerals for you. Very important for your health. And then again, Trader Joe's sea salt. And we must do a lot of shopping at Trader Joe's.
Yes, we do.
Now look at that. We are out of the sea salt. But anyhow, that was about a tablespoon. Again, 3 tablespoons of salt. I go 2 sea salt, 1 Himalayan, and that will nicely flavor 1 gallon of chicken stock. And now, just bring it up to temperature. It's going to come up to a boil. Once it comes up to a boil, then reduce it to a low simmer. You want a very gentle simmer. And I will just let that go for a couple of hours. About 30 minutes before the end of the simmer, I will throw the chicken breast in for 30 minutes and set the timer so I don't forget it, because you really don't want to forget your chicken breast is sitting in there. 30-minute poach on a chicken breast, perfectly done. And then I pull the chicken breast out, I put a lid on the stock, and I leave it there overnight. Yes, I leave it out at room temperature overnight. I've been doing this for years. It's not a problem. It'll continue to render the collagen and all the mineral content that's in the bones. And so when this stuff finally cools in the refrigerator, it's going to shake like a bowl of Jell-O. And that's what you want.
Now, it is actually simmering till we go to bed anyway, so it's actually extremely hot.
Yeah.
It's not at room temperature overnight, just so they know. We put a lid on it while it's still super hot.
It's way too hot to put in the fridge.
By morning, then it's cooled off enough.
Yeah, by morning it's still kind of warm.
Right.
It's a little bit too hot to put in the fridge anyhow, so I put it in the fridge when I go out the door to go to work.
All right.
So that's it. That's very simple, and this is going to be one of the most nutritious things you can do for yourself, for healing your gut, for strengthening your immune system, and you'll enjoy, at least I do, I enjoy this, this chicken meat for a week. This is what I eat on my lunches. And so for about $6, again, I'm getting lunch for a full week, and sometimes that includes dinners. My wife enjoys the chicken breast, and so we're eating...
And the broth all week.
And the broth all week. So between the two of us, I would say the cost on all this, let's throw another $1 in for the cost on the vegetables and the seasonings. Yeah, let's go $2. So for $8, we're making a gallon of chicken broth. We're getting a week's worth of lunch food. My wife's getting meals throughout the week, and the chicken broth is strengthening her immune system. So, okay, as you can see, The chicken broth is simmering gently. We've got a nice rolling simmer. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to poach the chicken breast now. And again, just 30 minutes of a poach and you'll have the nice perfect chicken breast. You set these in and just kind of mikveh them a little bit, baptize them. And those will be done in about 30 minutes.
Alrighty.
That's it. Thank you for watching. Please, don't forget, like and subscribe.
What are you doing?